everyone, I'm Candy and this is one of my best friends, Wendy. So yes, like the title of the video, I shit out my stomach. I have an ileostomy, which is when the end of your small intestine is brought to the surface of your abdomen through a surgically created opening and a bag is worn over it to collect the waste. Basically, I have a man-made butthole on my stomach and my very own porta potty. So I have never told a story from beginning to end with the details and everything and the emotions and all that stuff. When I talk about it to other people, I usually just go through like, okay, yeah, this happened, but I leave out pretty much the most important part. So I'm about to share that with y'all, and Wendy is here for, you know, some emotional support, and this is a future doctor to be. Future Dr. Shay!
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Not hopefully, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So for any, you know, medical terminology, she's gonna help out with that, and she's gonna be here for emotional support. How the hell did I end up basically living with my insides on the outside? It started off with the worst case of food poisoning I have ever had in my entire life.
Pretty bad.
It was horrendous. Java Spice in Rolling Heights, bad review, stand by it, y'all done fucked me the fuck up.
Yes.
I was in pain for about 20 hours with no relief, and then that's when it was like, okay, maybe it's time to get to a hospital. Go to the hospital, they take some scans, but everything was, you know, the scans didn't pick up anything. So nothing really came out of that visit besides, okay, here's some painkiller, here's some morphine, and send you out home. It took me about 10 days to recover from that food poisoning, which is not, it's like abnormally long.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more than usual.
And I was good for about a week after that, and then I started having symptoms again, cramping, throwing up, diarrhea, just the works, and I was throwing up green stuff. I was throwing up bile, and bile is
basically, bile is what your liver produces to break down fats in your food. So it usually ejects it into your small intestine. So when bile is coming up, that usually means that there's something blocking its way from going down the small intestine. There's definitely just something wrong.
Something going on.
So yeah, so if you're throwing up bile, it's definitely not good.
No, you should probably get to a hospital.
Very, you know, corrosive, because it literally separates your fat particles in your food.
So yeah,
so
that shit's not good.
That should tell you something.
After throwing out that bile, went back to the ER, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you know, just back here for some more morphine, and then they're just gonna send me home. But no, this time they took the scans, and the doctor was like, okay, so from the scans we see that there is an obstruction, a blockage in your small intestine, and we're going to have to you're going to need surgery to remove it. And I was just like, oh, so not just morphine, huh? I didn't really have time to process it all. It was just all very, you know, it was like within the hour, you know, it's like I was put under to have surgery.
She texted me very casually the next morning,
like, hey,
hey, I'm about to go into surgery, bye. And I woke up to that text, and she wasn't replying to me for like the whole day, and I was like, what?
I was fucked up. I know, I was like, hey guys, I'm in the ICU, bye.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, wait, actually, that was the second time. But
first time too.
Oh, first time too, yeah. But I was in the ICU the second time. But
first time, yeah. She literally was just like, yeah, I'm about to go in. You know, no reply for the rest of the day.
And she was like, bitch.
Yeah.
They told me it was gonna be laparoscopic, which is with smaller incisions, and they insert like microscopes and tools and all that cool stuff.
A lot less invasive.
And the recovery time a lot less than a traditional way. The obstruction requires surgery because it was a complete obstruction, and an obstruction that's left unattended is not good because it can lead to rupture.
Basically, yeah, rupture, and then that could obviously lead to like sepsis and, you know, just a lot of infection in that area, especially because your large intestine, small intestine, your whole GI tract has a lot of bacteria in there that's supposed to stay in there. So if it gets out, it could definitely cause bacteria to kind of go out and, you know, ruin your body.
And sure, it will fuck you up.
Yeah.
When I woke up from surgery, I freaked out because I was thinking I was waking up during. You know that movie Awake with that guy from Star Wars? I can't remember his name. Do you know the actor's name?
Anyway, Ewan McGregor?
I don't think it's whatever.
Hayden Christensen.
Oh yes, that one. Yes, you know, like that movie he was in where he woke up during surgery. Yeah, anyways, I thought I was having one of those moments, and I started crying, and you're still kind of paralyzed at that time, but I guess I was able to cry because I heard the nurse go like, oh my gosh, she's crying. And then I overheard the nurses talking about, okay, so you know, she had blockages because of her endometriosis. And I was just like, who, what?
Endometriosis. So our uterus basically has an inner layer called the endometrium. So this is where, like, you know, the sticky stuff is. This is where, you know, zygotes, like if you have a baby, it implants into your endometrium, and that's why it's sticky. So endometriosis is when the sticky mucousy layer kind of grows outside of the inside of your uterus, so it grows outside, and then that can be problematic because it can actually stick onto other things because it's really sticky, and that's not supposed to be on the outside. So
that's what happened with me. That sticky thing, I had 4 of my organs stuck together. I had my uterus, my bladder, my small intestine, and my colon. They were stuck together, so it was restricting mobility. And they took some pictures, and one of my intestines, I remember showing you guys, I don't know if you remember, it looked like it was pinched. So yeah, that's probably what was really fucking me up, you know.
Adhesions, you know.
I've heard of endometriosis and I'm familiar with the symptoms, but because I'm familiar with the symptoms, I was shocked because I never experienced any irregular periods. My periods are super regular. No abnormal pain, really. So nothing really up until this point, so I would have never known.
She was asymptomatic.
It was a fairly short hospital stay that time. It was about, I think, 3 to 5 days. They just had to monitor me to make sure that I wasn't having any more obstructions. And you know, the moment that you poop is the moment that they're like, okay, you can go.
Yeah, bowel movements are great in the hospital. People get so excited about it. Like, oh my god, she had a BM.
Exactly. And she was there when the nurse came in, and I told him, I was like, I had a bowel movement. And we were all like,
it's a big thing to celebrate in the hospital.
Because it just means your system is working and you should be good to go. I was good for about 2 weeks before I started having another obstruction. So I actually ended up having 2 more partial obstructions after that. And because they were partial, they didn't need to do surgery. They just inserted the NG tube, which is the nasal-gastric tube. Did I say that right?
Something.
But yeah. So it goes up through your nose, and you swallow it, and it goes into your stomach. And what it does is it decompresses the stomach. And then they also shot like syringes of liquid into me through the NG tube to
open up your passages.
The obstruction. Yeah. And then they took scans to see, you know, how things are moving along. Did that a couple more times, and after that last obstruction, I was feeling pretty okay afterwards. I was like, I was eating, you know, eating felt normal for the first time since, you know, the end of May when I had that food poisoning. I wasn't cramping. It felt like how eating should feel like, you know, you shouldn't be in pain, and it was like that. And she even FaceTimed me, and I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
FaceTimed her every day. I was like, hey,
did you stay at the hospital? I know, I really appreciated that.
Of course.
So yes, I was good. I was feeling good. That was a very short-lived bliss because 3 days after that, out of nowhere, just bam, it hit me. A sharp pain in my lower abdominal area. I stood up immediately. I was watching TV with my boyfriend at home, and then I stood up immediately, and I was just waiting for the pain to go away because, you know, sometimes you get sharp pains and sometimes they go away. Thought that this was not one of those times. It did not go away. It got progressively worse very, very fast. And my parents, thank God they were home, they saw me and they said, okay, guess it's time to take you back to the hospital. And at this point, I was just in so much pain that I had to crawl on all fours to the door, and then my dad carried me from the door to the car, and then it was a 50-minute ride to the hospital. I was just throwing up the whole time, progressively getting worse. The pain was worse, and then by the time I got to the hospital, I felt like I was going in and out of consciousness almost. Like I felt like I was about to pass out, and then I would like come to it again, like, oh no, I'm aware, and it just kept going like that. Eyes rolling back in my head. I was very attractive.
No biggie,
so attractive. Yeah, so when I got to the ER, they pretty much triaged me right away because they can see that, okay, yeah, this bitch is fucked up. And by the time we got to the ER, my pain level was a 20 out of 10. It was bad. The worst pain I have. Bad. I was that bitch screaming in the ER, screaming for help. I was saying, help, please, I need morphine, please, anybody, please, I need morphine, I need painkiller. And people who know me know that, like, if I'm screaming like that.
Yeah. Also, anything involving the abdomen is pretty intense. Everything in your GI system has its own nervous system, has its own, you know, pain receptors, whatever, but if you have like a really intense pain, like that's pretty serious. Anything.
Finally, after what felt like forever, the nurse comes in and she's like, okay, here's your morphine. And I was just like, oh yes. And I was waiting for that wave of relief to just come over me. You know, because you know, I had it at the past couple of times I was there, so I was familiar with how it would work. So, you know, I'm just like, okay, she injects it. I'm like, yes, waiting for that feeling. That feeling never came. That shot of morphine did nothing. And which would say a lot, because morphine is a strong drug.
It's very strong.
It's a very strong drug, and yeah, did nothing. So I called the nurse back in. I'm like, hey, that did nothing. I need more. So she's like, okay, we need to wait a little bit, and she ended up giving me Dilaudid, which is another painkiller, stronger than morphine.
Yeah.
And that's when I actually started to feel you know, some relief. And I ended up having maybe I think like 7 milligrams of Dilaudid within 5 to 6 hours, which is a shit ton for a person like me, especially my size.
It's a lot.
Yep. After they were managing my pain, the doctor comes in and he tells me that, so your blood work is a little different from the past few times you've been here. Your white blood cell count is pretty high, you know, it's pretty much through the roof. And I mean, I took bio before, kind of, but I don't really remember what that meant, so I was just like, what does that mean?
White blood cells usually only present if you have an infection. So if you have like a abnormally high amount, that indicates you have an infection somewhere in your body. So that's what, you know, they usually look for in terms of like your blood count and stuff. They look for the white blood cell count.
He was saying, bitch, you got an infection. There's an infection inside of you. As the doctor's talking to me, I just feel like I was being shot with a bullet, like multiple ones, one after another. Because he starts with, okay, so yeah, you have an infection. Okay, and then next he tells me, so the scans also picked up that your small intestine has ruptured, perforated, boom, bang, bursted. And, you know, now the content has leaked into my system, and now I have peritonitis, which is an infection of the peritoneal membrane.
Which is actually worse than sepsis, because your peritoneal membrane basically covers all of, you know, the organs in your abdominal area, and it helps it kind of like stick to the front wall or the back wall, depending on what side your organ is on. So if that's infected, it can literally just go and basically affect all of your organs for the most part. Yeah.
So I was like, as if that wasn't bad enough. Okay, so yeah, so you got, you know, you got peritonitis, and now you also have sepsis,
which is a blood infection.
Which is bad. Sepsis is no joke. That shit's bad.
Yeah,
progressive
definitely lead to organ failure, because our body basically produces like these, I guess, immunoinflammatory responses to infections. So sometimes, you know, when these, I guess, chemicals or messengers, as you would say, kind of go and travel around, it might affect your organs. It might affect it in ways that you may not expect it to, and it might like shut it down. So over time, it could lead to like multi-system organ failure. If not taken care of, then even, you know, possibly death. But she took care of it, so
yeah, thank God they caught it early.
Yeah.
So after he says that, he says, okay, so then you're going to need surgery, and it's going to be a laparotomy this time, which is traditionally cut open as opposed to the small incisions I had before. And we're going to have to go in and figure out what's going on. I was admitted to the ICU, and I was being prepped for surgery, and the nurse was actually telling me that, you know, with situations like this where they probably will have to cut out some bowel, you may end up with an ostomy, which is, you know, kind of what I explained earlier on in this video. And when he explained it to me, I was just like, what are you talking about? Don't tell me this. Like, why are you telling me this? This is not gonna happen yet. What is this? I was just, I didn't understand it really. But however, you know, I came out of that surgery without an ostomy. So what they ended up doing was they cut out, it was like 8 or 9 inches of my small intestine.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot at all.
Our intestines are actually really, really long. They're just really coiled.
Yeah. So yeah, it's 8 inches is really not, kind of like nothing. So got that removed, and then they just ended up, so what I had was a bowel resection, which they took out the damaged part and they took the 2 healthy ends and reconnected it. After that surgery, the next 10 days was absolute hell. It was tests and complications one right after another. I just kept having fevers. I just wasn't recovering the way I was supposed to. I couldn't eat really still without pain, and it was just It was not good. They scanned me for everything. They were just trying to figure out why is this girl not healing properly, until I think it was the 10th day that they figured out that I had VRE, which is vancomycin resistant enterococci.
Yeah, basically antibiotic resistance usually means that, you know, you don't finish your rounds of antibiotics, and then the bacteria that you didn't kill off, they can proliferate and create more of these antibiotic resistant bacteria. So finish all your antibiotics. This is also like a very big hospital acquired infection, so usually you see a lot in hospital settings.
Yep, so that's what happened with me, and the way they figured it out, because one of my antibiotics was vancomycin, and so they figured out, like, okay, yeah, let's switch this because this obviously isn't targeting the right bacteria. And after they finally switched it, I actually started feeling better. My stomach, the pain was going away. I felt better. I thought I was getting better, until one day after breakfast, I got up to go to use the bathroom, looked down, you know, at my bandage, and it was just filled with pus. And I was like, okay, that don't look right, you know. So I called the nurse in right away, and she comes in, and then, like, as soon as she as soon as she sees it, her eyes got big. She was like, but I can tell it was like a split second, you know, because, like, they can't,
micro expression,
right? Like, they can't lose their shit, you know. They can't make you nervous. She was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll call the doctor, you know.
You know, pus is actually just a shit ton of dead white blood cells.
Ew, it is.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh my god, so I had a lesson.
Oh. Yeah. So that means infection.
Yeah, another one. Another one. The doctor comes in. He literally took a look. I don't even think he looked at it for even a second. He just literally looked at it and he's like, okay, yeah, we need to scan that. So CT scan in I think maybe a few hours, maybe not even a few hours, but anyways. Later on, the nurse comes in and he tells me that, so the scans showed that your anastomosis has failed. And anastomosis is the resectioning is when the two...
Basically when any two things are joined together. So it can be like, you know, blood vessels or intestines or whatever. So it's just an anostomized means that you connected two parts together of like some organ or some body part.
Yep. So then that part where my intestines were reconnected failed. There's a leak in there. And he's saying, so you're going to need surgery again to fix that. And before he even, as he's saying this, like, tears was just already coming down my face. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's another leak. Like, why is my body not working properly? You know, I was pretty much scared shitless at that point, because it's only been 10 days since my last, and these are major surgeries, so it's only been 10 days since my last major one. I hadn't been properly... Okay, so my friend Wendy, she had to step out for a quick second to handle some business. So anyways, continuing off of what I was saying, my body was already, I was already anemic. I hadn't been properly nourished for months now. I mean, remember that this all started in late May of last year, 2019. And from then, since then till July, I hadn't been really eating properly or eating enough, because I was in and out of the hospital with all these obstructions. I was scared. Anemic, malnourished, just had surgery. I felt like death. I couldn't stand or walk on my own, you know, at least not for 2 seconds anyways, more than 2 seconds. I really was thinking that I might not be able to wake up this time. Thankfully, I did wake up. So this time when I woke up with 2 bags over my stomach, and that's when I thought, okay, there it is. My worst fear realized what that first nurse had said, you know, at my surgery previously, saying that you might end up with an ostomy. I have it now. The reason I woke up with 2 bags over my stomach is because I actually ended up having 2 stomas. So yes, I have 2 stomas. By the way, stoma is the medical term for these little balls of intestines that are just, you know, popping out of the surface of my abdomen right now. Let me explain how I ended up with 2 stomas. So during the surgery, my surgeon discovered that not only did my anastomosis fail, there was also this huge gaping hole in my colon. So yes, my colon perforated as well. And I will never forget this, because I remember after my first perforation, I, you know, asked the doctor, I'm like, oh, you know, should I be scared of this happening again? And he's like, oh, you know, I mean, it is a very rare event. He's like, oh, these things don't really happen. You know, it's like being struck by lightning. And it's like, well, damn. I got struck by lightning twice. I had 2 intestinal perforations within, 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. And as you can imagine, that will do a number on anybody's body. It wasn't, no. The doctors couldn't explain why my colon perforated. All they know from this entire situation is that my endometriosis caused the first obstruction. As for the second perforation, they couldn't really explain it. And as well as the colon perforation, all they know is that it was due to ischemia, which is low blood supply to the area. And that's the reason why it became necrotic and, end up having this giant hole just chilling in there. So this time, 9 inches of my colon, pretty much most of my descending colon is this part of my colon, had to be removed. And that is, it's still not too much, but it is a bigger portion if you think in ratios as opposed to the 8 inches out of my small intestine. The large intestine is shorter, so 9 or 8 inches of it is gonna be more, in ratio to my small intestine. I remember when I woke up with those 2 bags and the nurse was explaining what happened, the first thing I asked was, is this forever? Is this forever? And the nurse told me, no, this is not forever, this is temporary. You'll have it for 6 months. You just need some time for your colon and your intestines to heal, and then you can come back here and the surgeon will put you back together again. And I just remember holding on to that thought. I was like, okay, temporary, I can do. I think I was still kind of in denial. I didn't want to face the fact that this did happen. All I wanted to focus on was the fact that it's temporary, that I'm gonna get over it, that it's gonna be fine. I was just telling myself, okay, 6 months, fine, fuck it, I can do it. So the reason why I end up having 2 stomas is because, as I explained earlier, I had to have my colon and parts of my small intestine removed. And because of that, that's why I ended up with 2. So I'm gonna go grab a human model thing, and I'm gonna explain to you guys basically how my intestines look like on the inside, so that it'll make more sense to you, because I was so confused. I was like, how does my insides look right now? All right, guys, so right here this is my friend Wendy's, human bio major, doctor to be, and his name is Bob. All right, so this is Bob, so let me show you how my intestines look. Okay, so let me get closer to the camera. As you can see, so this is my colon, right? Okay, so right now my small intestine is right here. So the one poking out, by the way, I named my stomas. The ileostomy on this side is called Bobby. His name is Bobby. The other one, my colon, the mucus fistula, is Stomy. So anyways, so right here, small intestine, some parts got cut off, right? So now there's 2 ends, because it got resectioned. So that first end that's coming, so the end of the small intestine is poking out. So that's Bobby. Bobby is the ball of intestine that's on my abdominal wall right now. So that's Bobby, and then continuing, that part is sealed off and it goes, and then my colon, and up my colon. Whoa, that moved. Okay, anyway, colon right here. So this is the part where the descending colon is pretty much what a lot of what I got removed, taken out. So this part, it goes down like this, and stomy is the one that comes out, sticks out like that, and of course this part is sealed off and then goes down to my rectum. So oh no, his organs just all oh baby, I'm sorry, I don't know where these things go. I'm not a doctor. Oh wait, actually, Bobby is my ileostomy, and he's the one that's doing all the work right now. He's basically my temporary butthole for the time being, that's just chilling on my stomach. And Stomy right here, he's just resting. He spits a mucus every once in a while. So there is mucus inside of your intestines, and they usually come out with your poo, but since I'm not really pooping, my intestines are not completely connected anymore. Mucus is still exiting out of Bobby as he's pooping. However, I still got mucus going on in the colon, so Stomy will spit a mucus every once in a while. However, now that it's been like close to a year, no, not even close to a year, it's been over a year since I've had them. Stomy pretty much realizes I don't really need to produce mucus anymore, so he doesn't really spit it up as often anymore. But what exactly happened? Why did I have these perforations? I'm a medical mystery. they couldn't figure out a definitive reason why. The only thing they knew for sure was that I had endometriosis. That caused the first blockage, and then it was my colon had ischemia. That's all they know. That's the only facts that they know. And I had a bunch of doctors coming in to try to figure out what's wrong with me. I had a rheumatologist, an immunologist, oncologist, did I say heme already? Yeah, anyways, a bunch of them. They were just as confused, because usually this kind of situation would happen to patients with IBD, which is inflammatory bowel disease, such as Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. However, they tested me for that, and the test for that, I mean, my results were inconclusive. It didn't support IBD at all. And then they did end up testing me for a bunch of other stuff, everything that they could think of that could be related, and none of that really came up with anything. I needed fucking Dr. House. I wish he was real, because I just remember I just wanted a diagnosis so bad, because I wanted to move on. My organs aren't supposed to just start rupturing and popping with no clear definitive reason. Like, what is going on? However, I remember one of the many doctors that I had, he ended up coming in and he was talking to me, and he was saying, unfortunately, we don't have a clear reason or a theory or a condition that we can pin on for why this is happening to you. However, as long as you're responding to the antibiotics, which you are, you're not gonna die. That really meant a lot to me. So aside from the pain, Bobby was definitely the most difficult thing for me to accept. I felt mutilated. I felt disgusting. I felt ashamed. I felt unattractive. I didn't feel like myself anymore. And you know, I had a boyfriend at the time. I still have that boyfriend. Anyways, I have a boyfriend, and I was very worried about, you know, maybe he might not think I'm sexy anymore, you know, and all that stuff. My health deteriorated very, very quickly. You know, all this happened within a span of 3 months, so I did not have time to recover after each blow. I'm 5'3". I'm normally 100 pounds, which is already pretty petite, and I went from 100 pounds to 77 pounds during my stay at the hospital for that very last time. I was at the hospital for a month. I was admitted on July 23rd, and I got out on August 23rd. And being in the hospital for a month does things to you, kind of fucks you up in the head, you know? I mean, in the beginning, the first 2 weeks, it was like, oh, I can do this, it's fine, just watch TV all day. And then after that, the last few days, I literally cried to the nurse, asking her to please, can the doctor send me home? Because I didn't want to be here anymore. All in all, it took me 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital to be able to start eating somewhat comfortably, because I was mostly on TPN at the hospital, which is intravenous nutrition through the IV. That's what I had, and my stomach had to get used to digesting and all that stuff again. So it took about 2 weeks, and then it took 2 months for me to be able to stand straight up again because of that huge laparotomy scar. I will show you guys later. It's about 1 foot long. 4 months to start feeling like, okay, you know, I think I'm okay. 6 months, I was like, okay, I think I'm pretty good. And it took 9 whole months for me to gain back the 23 pounds that I lost. So it took me 9 months to go from 77 pounds to 100 pounds. And I know that sounds kind of ridiculous. You're probably thinking, you should be able to gain that in a shorter amount of time. But however, keep in mind, I was very sick, so I think the nutrition that I had, you know, those first few months was going towards healing as opposed to, you know, everything else, weight and muscle and all that stuff. I would say I really started feeling good after I gained all of my weight back. That's when I started, okay, you know what, this is how it felt like to be me. It took forever, but I got here. As you can tell now, it's way past my 6-month mark that I'm supposed to have Bobby for. Oh, by the way, this is a physical representation of Bobby. He's just been sitting chilling in the background, but this is Bobby. This is literally this is honestly how he looks like. So like the hole in the middle, stomas look like this. This is how Bobby looks like, just like this, much smaller on my stomach. And I decided to name my stomas because they have a mind of their own. Bobby has a mind of his own. I cannot control him. He shits and farts in front of anybody, anytime that he wants to. He does not. He gives no. Bobby update. So my journey with Bob's has not been an easy one.
It's been very difficult.
It has. She knows this is high maintenance as by the way, side note, Bobby has a few nicknames. It's Bobby, Bobs, Roberto, and Bubbles. Bubbles because, just so you guys know, when your stomach is empty, we literally have gas bubbles, foamy yellow gas bubbles that are traveling through our intestines. And I see him blow bubbles every morning, so that's why he's Bubbles. I started off resenting and hating this little. I cried every day in the hospital. I cried for a couple of weeks every day after I got home. It wasn't easy. It was not. But I remember maybe about a week after I had, Bobby was formed on my stomach, I emptied my bag for the very first time without any assistance. Bravo to me. Because at first it's honestly kind of scary just because it's new and you don't know what it's about. When I was in the bathroom emptying him, I looked down on him and I said, you know what? This little shithead is the reason that I'm alive today. He is the reason that I have an option to keep on going. It also made me realize that, there's so many people out there who don't get this option, where the option of do this and you can keep on living. A lot of people don't get that. And so for me, I will forever be grateful that this exists. I am grateful for this little guy. And so when I started thinking that way, when I started perceiving things differently, that's when I started to adjust, because I understood that as much as I hated him in the very beginning, I needed to accept things if I wanted to move on. I started to see him in a completely different light. I learned to be grateful for him. He has his own characteristics. He is, as I have mentioned earlier, he is high maintenance, and he honestly makes the cutest little noises. He squeals. He literally squeals. I mean, those of you who have stomas out there and you hear it, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But he literally, it doesn't sound like, sometimes it'll sound like real farts, but most of the time it's popping. It's like that. Or it goes like, he entertains me. There are times where he will just squeal so loud that I'm just like, Bobby, like, I can feel him when he's pooping and all that stuff. Every time he farts, it's like a massage for my stomach. By the way, he's kind of going crazy right now, so if you hear any squeaking or anything. So after I adjusted and the acceptance, I went through that. That was very, very difficult. After I got past that, honestly, to me personally, it really wasn't that bad. My biggest complaint would be sometimes the bag can leak. Your digestive juices and everything, that's acidic. When it touches your skin, it stings. That's my biggest complaint about it, is that sometimes the bag leaks and then it stings and it's uncomfortable. However, usually the bag leaks if it's not applied correctly, and it took me a while to learn how to apply it correctly, and now I really don't get leaks anymore. It was a very, very long process, one I never ever thought that I would be able to get through. I mean, you see me here laughing, making jokes and all that stuff, but that's because I've had an entire year to accept, adjust, and grow. But it was nothing like this in the very beginning. I was very insecure about it, and it hurt. I couldn't bear to look at myself in the mirror for a very long time, just because my body was so disfigured. In the sense where it was very, I was so skinny and I had all these marks on me, and now I have this my newly disabled body. So it took time, but I hope that anybody watching this and you see the progression, that it will be okay.
You go, girl.
So I am going to show you guys my scar. Oh, I probably have to get up on the bed for this one. Okay, so looks like I'm stripping, but so that is my scar. I can't really go any lower because it goes pretty low. So that is that, and then Bobby's right here. I don't have a back cover right now, so I don't really want to show you guys the back, just because you will literally see my I used to hate my scar. I felt like Frankenstein, fucking Frankenstein, and I was thinking, you know what, I'm gonna edit it out of all my pictures. I was looking for makeup that was gonna cover and all that stuff. I was not feeling it. You know, I didn't come out of this going like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm so sexy with this new ass skirt, like, but no. I came out feeling like Frankenstein. But you know what? At this point, I'm a hot ass Frankenstein. The way I see it is that our bodies like to leave reminders of what it can do, what it's capable of. And to me, my body did an amazing thing. It said, hold up, there's this huge ass hole in candy. We need to close this up. We don't have time to make it cute and pretty and neat. None of that. No, we just need to close it up. We just need to heal it. And you best believe that I am going to leave a mark. I am going to leave this mark because this is a damn accomplishment. And this is an accomplishment that my body did. And so I view it as sort of my clutch now. I feel like if I ever encounter anything, a situation, something challenging where I feel like I can't overcome it, all I gotta do is just look at that and, you know what, hey bitch, you did that, you did Bobby and Stomy and all that stuff, you're gonna be fine. Seeing my body heal and just seeing what the human body can do, it's very, very amazing. And it has been it's a very beautiful thing because our bodies heal itself. It's constantly repairing and healing, and this isn't something that we have to sit there and think about. I don't have to sit there and think, okay, body, heal, heal, heal. No, I don't. It just does what it does, and I think that is amazingly beautiful. And I have never learned just how, I've never appreciated how my body functioned until this all happened. After 14 months, I have finally been scheduled for my reversal, and that is going to be in about a week. For all those who came to this video looking for hope, or, you know, if you were just, you know, intrigued on what the hell is she talking about, I just want you guys to all know that there is hope. It is going to be okay. As hard as it is at first, the beginning is definitely always going to be the toughest part, but I hope that sharing my story and you guys seeing how I dealt with it, hopefully it can bring some hope and light to everybody out there. All my stoma brothers and sisters, I just want to let you guys know that we are bad bitches, okay? We live with our insides on the outside. Are we not bad bitches? No, you're not alone! Insides on the outside, we're basically superhuman. Beauty and strength comes from within, and I have never fully... My best friend Wendy's out there dancing on the bed, distracting me, and just, why don't you come here and dance? Oh! Alright, so she's back.
I'm back.
She's back for this ending.
Yeah, you met my pet Bob.
Yes. Yes, we did. Yes. This is hers, and I explained it earlier too. I was like, this is my friend Wendy's. He belongs to her, and he's falling apart.
You can detach the head.
Oh. Oh.
And then open. And then it's the brain. You know?
Exactly. Did you enjoy that?
Fantastic. Science.
Science.
And this is Hannah.
Hi. And now my other bestie, our trio, is together. So, you guys, a disability does not define you. A disability does not have to define you unless you let it.
Yes, bitch. Preach. This is your thyroid. This is your trachea. This is your carotid artery.
So guys, this experience can be very, very extremely isolating. It can feel very lonely. I know I definitely felt super lonely in the beginning because this isn't something people really go out and talk about, you know, because it has to do with poop. So like,
I asked her if I could look at her bag when she first got it.
Not just the bag, she wanted to look at Bobby, like
the
intestine. I was just like, no, I don't even want to look at it myself.
I literally was like, hey, so like, can I see it?
Yeah, and I was like, no, and so she ended up Googling pictures next to me at the hospital, and she was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yep, that's me.
But you know what? It is cool. It's very cool. Who would have thought that you can take your insides, put on the outside, and hey, you can live like that?
Just look at Bob. His whole outside.
His whole inside's on the outside, and he's doing fine.
He has
crack his head open, and he's good.
He's living life.
Living life.
A nice butt.
It does. It does. For anybody out there who's feeling alone, you are not alone in this situation. I am open. My DMs are open, not for the creeps, but it's open to anybody who...
No dick pics, please.
Please, no. Anybody who wants to reach out to me to, you know, if you talk about your experience or anything, you know, looking for hope, feel free to reach out to me. I'm there for you. Even though I don't know you, that don't matter. There's an entire community of us online. Thank you to everybody who has been so supportive of me throughout this time. Thank you to you guys who visited me and, you know, checked up on me all the time. I really appreciated that. Thank you to my parents who are there, you know, every single day. I'm very thankful to my boyfriend. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, babe, for being there every step of the way. Thank you for loving me and loving, you know, Bobby and all. Still thinking that I'm sexy, still thinking I'm fly and all that stuff. You the best, you the man. Thank you to my sisters, you guys were all there. And thank you to my best friends who all visited me. Your visits meant everything. Everything. I wish you all the best on your health journeys, whatever it is. And if you guys have a story that's similar to mine or anything that has to do with the situation, feel free to leave some comments down below, share your stories, and, you know, let's start a conversation about this, because the reason that this community exists is because people are sharing and people are posting. So let's keep that alive. We love you, Bobby. Bobby out. Oh my god. Stupid. After my reversal, from now on, every single shit I take out of my ass is gonna be glorious.